Some men have a strange effect on others without doing anything wrong. They're not rude, aggressive, or disrespectful. They just exist in their own space, minding their business. Yet somehow, their presence alone seems to irritate certain people in ways that are hard to explain. It's not about what they say or do. Most of the time, they're barely participating in whatever's happening around them. But that's exactly what bothers others. Their detachment, their calm, their refusal to play along with unspoken social games creates a kind of friction that people can feel but can't quite name. These are Sigma males. Men who move through social spaces without following the usual rules. And somehow, that simple act of being themselves triggers reactions they never intended to cause. What makes this even more interesting is that Sigma males usually have no idea they're having this effect, while others are getting visibly frustrated or uncomfortable. These men are just going about their day, following their own internal logic. They're not trying to provoke anyone. They're just not trying to please anyone either. Let's break down 8 specific ways Sigma males trigger people simply by existing, and what these reactions reveal about the people doing the reacting. Number 1. They treat important people like everyone else. Social hierarchies depend on everyone acknowledging them. The boss walks in, and the room shifts. The celebrity appears, and people adjust their behavior. The wealthy person speaks, and others listen more carefully. These unwritten rules maintain the structure that makes some people feel superior and others feel beneath them. Sigma males ignore these rules completely, not from disrespect or rebellion, but because they fundamentally don't process social rank the way most people do. They see a CEO as just another person with a different job title. A famous person is just someone more people recognize. Wealth is just a number that doesn't change who someone is underneath. This creates incredibly awkward moments for people used to special treatment. They expect deference, careful language, obvious recognition of their status. Instead, they get normal conversation. The Sigma speaks to them the same way he'd speak to anyone else. Direct, honest, unbothered by their position. Watching this happen is fascinating. You can see the status-conscious person waiting for the usual markers of respect. Maybe they drop hints about their importance, expecting others to react with appropriate awe. But the Sigma just continues treating them like any other human being. No special tone, no extra politeness, no performance of being impressed. For people whose entire identity is wrapped up in being treated as special, this equal treatment feels like an insult. They've spent years building a reputation, accumulating status symbols, climbing hierarchies. And here's someone who doesn't seem to notice or care about any of it. That invalidation of their achieved status triggers something defensive in them. The interesting part is that Sigma males aren't trying to make a statement. They're not purposely disrespecting authority or status. They just genuinely evaluate people based on character, competence, and how those people treat others, not based on titles, positions, or social rank. And in a society where so many people have built their entire self-worth on external validation of their importance, that authentic disinterest in status feels threatening. Number 2. Their direct gaze makes people overthink. Eye contact is complicated. Too little, and you seem weak or dishonest. Too much, and you seem aggressive or creepy. Most people have learned the social sweet spot, enough to seem engaged but not so much that it becomes uncomfortable. Sigma males often break this unwritten rule without meaning to. When they're listening or observing, they maintain steady eye contact that goes past the comfortable social limit. Not from aggression or dominance games, but because they're genuinely paying attention. They're not performing engagement. They're actually engaged. This creates an unsettling effect on people who aren't used to being truly seen. Most social eye contact is performative. We look enough to seem polite, but we're not really seeing the other person. We're thinking about our response, managing our own presentation, or just going through the social motions. But when a Sigma looks at you, there's a quality to it that feels different. He's not looking through you or past you. He's actually observing, taking in information, noticing details. And people can feel that difference even if they can't articulate it. This triggers self-consciousness in others. They start wondering what he's seeing, what he's thinking, what he's noticed that they weren't aware they were revealing. That direct gaze becomes a mirror that reflects back their own insecurities. They assume he's judging them, when really he's just paying attention. For people used to hiding behind social masks, this level of observation feels invasive. They're used to their performance being accepted at face value. But that steady gaze suggests someone is seeing past the performance to what's underneath. And whether that's actually happening or not, the feeling that it might be happening is enough to make them deeply uncomfortable. The interesting part is how this plays out in confrontations. Most people drop eye contact when tension rises, either from discomfort or as a sign of backing down. But Sigma males maintain that steady gaze throughout, not from dominance games, but because they're not intimidated by the confrontation. That unwavering eye contact often ends disputes before they fully begin, because the other person interprets it as supreme confidence, even when it's just natural comfort with direct interaction. Number 3. Their independence makes others uncomfortable. Humans are social creatures. Most people are wired to need others for validation, connection, support, identity. This need creates natural points of leverage. You can influence someone by threatening their belonging. You can control someone by managing their access to the group. Social bonds become invisible chains. Sigma males function differently, not because they're antisocial or don't value genuine connection, but because they don't need people in the way most do. Their sense of self isn't tied to group belonging. Their decisions aren't influenced by fear of social rejection. Their happiness doesn't depend on constant interaction. This fundamental independence triggers people because it can't be weaponized. You can't threaten to exclude someone who doesn't need inclusion. You can't manipulate someone with social pressure if they're genuinely okay being on the outside. You can't make them fear isolation if they already prefer solitude to bad company. Think about how most social control works. Someone steps out of line, and the group pulls away, sending a clear message about acceptable behavior. Most people feel that withdrawal immediately and adjust to regain acceptance. But when a Sigma doesn't notice or doesn't care about that withdrawal, the punishment has no effect. And if punishment doesn't work, the group has lost its primary tool for maintaining conformity. This independence shows up in small moments. Everyone's going to an event they don't actually want to attend, pressuring each other through guilt and obligation. The Sigma just doesn't go. No elaborate excuse, no apology. He simply chooses not to participate, while others are there out of social obligation, suffering through something they hate. They resent him for having the freedom they wish they had. The deepest trigger comes from what this independence reveals. When someone is genuinely fine alone, it holds up a mirror to everyone who isn't. It exposes the difference between choosing solitude and fearing it. And for people who've built their entire social strategy around belonging, watching someone thrive outside the structure they depend on feels like a personal judgment, even when no judgment is being made. Number 4. They don't reveal their intentions. Most people give away their moves way before they make them. They hint at plans, drop clues about their thinking, signal their intentions through small actions that preview bigger ones. This transparency makes them predictable. Others can see what's coming and prepare their responses accordingly. Sigma males keep their plans internal until execution, not from secrecy or distrust, but because announcing intentions creates problems they'd rather avoid. People offer opinions before being asked. They create obstacles based on assumptions. They prepare counter moves to plans that might change before implementation. The Sigma sees all this noise as unnecessary interference. This information control makes others deeply uncomfortable because humans are pattern seekers. We feel safer when we can predict what others will do. But when someone's next move is unknown, that unpredictability registers as potential threat. Not because they're dangerous, but because they're unreadable. Watch what happens when someone asks a Sigma about his plans. Most people will share details, seeking validation or input. The Sigma might give a vague answer or simply deflect the question entirely. He's not being secretive. He just doesn't see the benefit in explaining himself before the plan is complete. And that withholding of information bothers people who feel entitled to know what others are thinking or doing. This trait becomes especially triggering in social circles, where gossip and information sharing are the currency of connection. Everyone's updating each other on their lives, their plans, their problems. But the Sigma shares nothing of substance. He'll participate in surface conversations but reveals very little about what matters to him. This makes him an outsider by default because he won't trade personal information for social belonging. For manipulative people, this is a nightmare. They rely on knowing people's plans to position themselves advantageously. But when someone won't reveal their intentions, won't signal their moves, won't provide any preview of their thinking, there's nothing to manipulate. The game can't be played if one person won't put their cards on the table until the hand is already over. Number 5. They don't need to compete, which frustrates the people who do. Competition is everywhere. Who has the better job? The nicer car? The more impressive achievements? The higher status? Most people are constantly measuring themselves against others, finding their place in invisible rankings that determine how they feel about themselves. Sigma males opt out of this entire system. Not because they couldn't compete, but because they genuinely don't care about winning contests they never entered. Their goals are personal, not comparative. Their success is measured against their own standards, not against what others have achieved. This non-participation drives competitive people absolutely crazy. They need others to compete with them because competition validates their achievements. Winning only feels good if someone else loses. But when someone isn't playing the game at all, their victory feels hollow. You can see this frustration in action. Someone brags about an accomplishment, clearly positioning it as superior to others. Most people will either compete back with their own achievement or concede the win through their reaction. But a Sigma might just say, "That's good," with no emotional weight behind it, and move on. No envy. No desire to compete. Just genuine indifference to the contest. This triggers the competitive person because it invalidates their framework for measuring worth. They've invested their identity in being better than others. But if someone doesn't care about the comparison, doesn't acknowledge the hierarchy, doesn't participate in the ranking system, then their position in that hierarchy becomes meaningless. The deepest frustration comes when they realize they can't provoke competition. They might try to challenge the Sigma directly, setting up obvious comparisons or competitions. But he just won't engage. Not from fear of losing, but from complete disinterest in proving anything to anyone. His confidence doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from being satisfied with himself. And that internal validation is immune to external competition. Number 6. Their patience removes people's sense of control. Most people operate on immediate feedback loops. Push someone's buttons and they react now. Create drama and they respond now. Apply pressure and they break now. This predictability gives others a sense of control. They know what input creates what output. It's simple cause and effect. But Sigma males don't work on immediate timelines. Someone tries to provoke them, and nothing happens. They wait. Someone creates urgency, and they remain calm. They evaluate at their own pace, make decisions when they're ready, and refuse to be rushed by external pressure. This delay between action and response drives control-oriented people absolutely insane. They're used to seeing immediate results from their manipulation tactics. When those tactics land in silence and patience instead, they lose their primary tool for influencing behavior. You can watch this play out in negotiations. Most people get uncomfortable with silence and feel pressured to fill it, often making concessions just to end the tension. But a Sigma will sit in that silence comfortably, waiting for the other party to reveal more information, get nervous, or make the first move. His patience isn't a tactic. It's just how he operates. He's fine with things taking as long as they take. This patience extends to conflicts as well. Someone starts drama expecting an immediate emotional reaction. But instead of engaging, the Sigma just continues his day normally. Days pass, maybe weeks. The drama seeker gets more frustrated because their attack landed nowhere. They escalate, trying to force a response. Still, nothing. Eventually, they're the only ones still worked up about something the Sigma processed and dismissed days ago. What makes this particularly maddening for others is that they can't tell if he's unbothered or strategizing. Is he above the situation or just playing a longer game? The uncertainty eats at them. Because when you can't control someone's timeline, you can't control their decisions. And losing that lever of control makes people feel powerless in ways that genuinely scare them. Number 7. They don't match the energy people use to provoke them. Social interactions usually follow a matching pattern. Someone raises their voice, you raise yours. Someone gets excited, you match their enthusiasm. Someone brings intensity, you meet it with equal intensity. This mirroring creates a kind of sync that makes interactions feel normal. But Sigma males don't mirror energy automatically. When someone comes at them with aggression, they stay calm. When someone tries to create urgency, they remain steady. When someone projects anxiety, they maintain their equilibrium. This refusal to match energy disrupts the expected dance of social interaction. This creates an incredibly frustrating experience for people trying to provoke reactions. They're pushing energy at someone expecting it to bounce back amplified. Instead, it just gets absorbed and neutralized. Like throwing a ball at a wall and having it disappear instead of bouncing back. Someone tries to start an argument, raising their voice, making accusations, clearly attempting to escalate into a fight. Most people would either match that energy and fight back or shrink from it in fear. But a Sigma just maintains his calm tone, addresses points logically if they're worth addressing, and refuses to get pulled into the emotional chaos the other person is creating. This non-reaction feels like rejection to the person trying to provoke them. They wanted engagement, even negative engagement. They wanted to matter enough to generate a strong reaction. But getting nothing but calm responses makes them feel invisible. And often, that feeling makes them escalate even more, trying desperately to get the emotional response they're seeking. What they don't understand is that the Sigma isn't suppressing emotion to win some kind of battle. He's genuinely not affected by their performance. His emotional state is internally regulated, not externally triggered. So their attempts to push his buttons land on nothing because those buttons simply don't exist in the places others expect them to be. Number 8. They don't pretend to be impressed. Most interactions run on a simple exchange. Someone shows off something, a possession, an achievement, a connection, and others respond with the appropriate level of admiration. It's an unspoken agreement that keeps social harmony intact. You validate me, I validate you. Everyone feels good. But Sigma males don't participate in this exchange, not out of arrogance or spite. They just respond genuinely to what they see. If something actually impresses them, they might acknowledge it. But if it doesn't, they won't fake a reaction just to make someone feel better. Someone pulls up in an expensive car and waits for the usual compliments. Most people deliver on cue, playing their part in the social script. But when a Sigma barely glances at it and continues the conversation like nothing happened, the display falls flat. The person showing off expected a reaction, validation, envy, surprise, and got nothing. That void where the expected response should be creates immediate discomfort. This happens constantly in workplaces, A colleague makes a big announcement about their promotion or achievement, clearly fishing for praise and attention. While everyone else rushes to offer congratulations and ask questions, the Sigma might just nod once and go back to his work. He's not being rude. He's just not performing interest he doesn't feel. What people don't understand is that genuine indifference isn't the same as jealousy masked as indifference. When someone's actually jealous, you can feel it beneath their words. But a Sigma's lack of reaction comes from a different place entirely. He's evaluating whether something matters to him personally, not whether it's objectively impressive. And if it doesn't affect his life, his goals, or his interests, his reaction will be minimal regardless of how much someone else values it. This selective attention drives certain people crazy because they're used to their displays generating automatic responses. They've built their confidence on collecting reactions. But when someone doesn't give them the validation they're seeking, it forces them to question whether the thing they're showing off actually has the value they thought it did. And that uncertainty is deeply uncomfortable. Sigma males never set out to trigger anyone. They simply follow their own standards and don't perform for attention. In a world built on image, that level of honesty can shake people. Which one of these signs have you noticed around you? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more insights like this, hit subscribe and join the biggest Sigma community on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Click the video on your screen to keep going.